Pisces eclipse season begin. We are off to the races with lunar solar themes. Welcome, Pisces Rising. I'm Cosmic Girl 101, and this is your monthly deep dive through the wisdom and the language of astrology. As a Pisces rising, you have two planets that rule your first house. They are planet Neptune and Jupiter. Your yin, mutable water in characteristics, as this rising sign. Thank you for watching. Now let's get into your month. We open up the month of September with Pluto in a retrograde motion in the sign of Aquarius, your 12th house, now retrograding back into Capricorn, your 11th house. It goes direct on October 11. So you're sifting through the chaff and the wheat, if you will, in identifying and establishing strong allies, strong friendship groups, strong societies and charity, strong ambassadors that support you, and identifying who has the staying power and who is fair weather. Great 6-week window to get on top of any nuances connected to groups and your societal connections. Uranus on the same day is retrograding in Taurus, your third house, and goes direct on January 30, 2025. So Uranus is now slowed down in that third house. What you could be doing is going back over conflict with your local environment, communication, documents, anything verbal that you have been having exchanges with significant people. This is where things can be ironed out, nuances are cleared, and things seem a little bit more passive when Uranus is retrograde here in your third house and not so chaotic. If you've been experiencing a lot of change on the day-to-day and in your local environment, lots of changes going on, you can see a slowdown. So things are about to settle for a little while before Uranus goes direct, January 30, 2025. The other slower planetary transits continuing in the month of September is Neptune, your planetary ruler, retrograde in your first house, and your ruling planet goes direct on December 7. Jupiter, your other planetary ruler, is direct in Gemini for the month of September, your fourth house, and this is your ruling planet's sign of detriment. So Jupiter, when it's transiting in your fourth house, squaring your first house, and it's your ruling planet, and not a very fun sign for Jupiter. You may be having some big dramas in home, real estate, property, parents, parenting, lots of change. Just hard to feel settled when you've got Jupiter transiting here in that fourth house, or taking on a lot more expenses connected to those topics. Saturn continues its retrograde in your first house as well and goes direct on November 15. So Saturn retrograde here in your first house can see you getting on top of anything chronic connected to your physical body or your appearance, skin, teeth, bones, trying to literally change up things that feel old and outdated, connected to your wardrobe, your personal style, anything physical. Saturn retrograding here is a great time to finally do what you've been wanting to do for some time, end things that have been dragging on for way too long when it's retrograde in that first house. It goes direct on November 15. Now on to the luminary, the moon. What are the moons doing for the month of September? Well, they're big. It's quite huge. So on the 2nd of September, we've got a new moon occurring in the sign of Virgo, and this is your 7th house opposing your first house. Please excuse the background noise going on with my laptop. It's frustrating for me. It definitely will be frustrating for you as a listener or viewer. Apologies in advance. So a new moon in your 7th house. So this is all about agreements, contracts, partnerships, be it professional, intimate. They're going through a new beginning. So you could be signing on the dotted line in a new environment, looking at crunching numbers, looking at the finer print when the new moon is in Virgo, that analytical sign of detail and structure. So whatever begins here seems uh, pretty much like you can confidently do something new, because Virgo will certainly provide all the intel that's necessary to make you feel certain in anchoring into anything regarding signing on the dotted line, shaking hands, or putting a ring on it. Nice new beginning on the 2nd of September. On the 17th of September, we have a partial full moon lunar eclipse in your first house. So the body, the self, your character, how people see you. So something's being expressed and displayed quite visually for others to see clearly. This is something that you may be ready to reveal connected to a new style. You could be revealing something very personal about your experience to the world or other people quite organically. If you're feeling that you don't want to be exposed or reveal something, it might be hard to keep something on the down low or behind the scenes on the 17th of September. So we have the eclipse season starting, and the eclipses for the next 3 years are going to be in the sign of Pisces and Virgo. So for you, Pisces rising, your first house, and Virgo, your seventh house. So these are angular houses in your astrological chart. So the angular houses are very significant. So there's going to be a lot of changes, a lot of flexibility and adaptability necessary to navigate these eclipses that are upcoming for you from the 17th of September 2024 all the way up until February 20, 2027. Opening up the month of September, the Sun continues its transit in the sign of Virgo, your seventh house, opposing your first house. So we have authority figures that are throwing their weight around, connected to contracts, agreements, and negotiations. Partners could be in the serious spotlight, under the radar, if you will, being scrutinized when the Sun is in Virgo, your seventh house. Not a particularly easy transit when the Sun is in Virgo, because Virgo is hypercritical, hyper picky. And in your seventh house, you could just be feeling irritable and itchy and, oh, I don't like that about my partner, or I don't like that about that contract. I'm not sure about that. I don't know if I'm ready to commit. I need more details. So this is what you could be experiencing when the Sun is transiting in Virgo, your seventh house opposing your first. Now, the Sun, this month of September, is actually making a lot of aspects, and aspects, quite simply, are how the planets and luminaries interact with one another through sextiles, trines, oppositions, squares, etc. And the Sun is having a lot of aspects this month. So let's get into what dates are going to be significant for you. Well, on the 8th of September, that Sun in your seventh house is opposing your first house, retrograde Saturn. Well, that Sun opposed to you being, aware that you need to change something up for yourself. It's as if a partner or someone that's really important to you is opposed to you changing, opposed to you taking your time, not really on board with you transitioning into something bigger, brighter, and better, maybe wanting to dim your shine. So just take a beat, take a breath on the 8th of September. You may be standing out. You may be taking the spotlight away from someone, and they don't like it. On the 12th of September, the Sun is squaring your ruling planet Jupiter in Gemini. So the Sun in that really critical sign of Virgo, your seventh house, squaring your fourth house of home, your sanctuary, real estate and property, parents, parenting. So what could be going on here is some really strong opinions, or really difficult times with contracts, agreements, negotiations with home, parents just being a drama, or you're having difficulty with parenting on the 12th. It's a difficult day because its sun is literally squaring your ruling planet that isn't in a very happy zodiac sign. On the 20th, the sun opposes retrograde Neptune in your first house. It's like you can't take a break this month. The sun opposing retrograde Neptune in your first house. So there's someone powerful or someone really sticking out like a sore thumb, grating you the wrong way. They're opposed to your visionary thoughts or opinions about the future. They're opposed to you being dreamy and optimistic about the future. So it feels like you're trying your best to buoyant someone or lift someone on high, and they're just not there with you. So it's a grating day on the 20th. On the 22nd of September, there's a shift. There's an equinox change. The northern hemisphere is the beginning of the autumn equinox, and in the southern hemisphere, it's the beginning of the spring equinox. So we have a season change, and we respond with our nervous systems physically to seasons changing around us. So this is something to sit with and take a deep breath with. It's a season change, so things are changing around us and changing within us. The same day, the 22nd, the sun ingresses into the sign of Libra, and this is the sun's full position. The sun has a difficult time in the sign of Libra, and this transit lasts up until October 22nd. This is your eighth house. Now, your eighth house is in aversion to your first house. So, what you may not see or be aware of is the sun lighting up justice, equality, balance, fairness, connected to resources, finances, whether they're shared or autonomous. You may be overlooking expenses or debt. Forewarned is forearmed. That sun in fall could be possibly an opportunity, or something feels really optimistic connected to taking on debt or a financial contract, but please know the fine print and what you're getting into. On the 30th of September, the sun in fall in Libra conjuncts Mercury. So think of these two planets as looking at each other dead in the eye. They can't miss one another. So Mercury is blinded by the sun, and the sun is very aware of Mercury's presence. So what you could be dealing here on the 30th of September with is information communication, or anything written is up in the spotlight for you to address immediately. Something needs to be verbalized, communicated, signed, or looked at, but know the details before you go ahead confidently when you are putting a ring on it, shaking hands, or signing on the dotted line. Mars, the planet of passion, action, drive, and conflict, is transiting in the sign of Gemini, opening up the month of September. And this is your fourth house of home, family, real estate, property, parents, and parenting, the sense of sanctuary. It's direct for the whole month of September. So Mars is doing martial things quite easily, zooming ahead through the whole month. Mars in your fourth house could have you having a lot of passionate conflict a lot of passion in your home. You could be trying to clean things up, get rid of rubbish, sift through any things that are old. You want to throw things out. You want to clear the decks, if you will, of anything that you perceive as an obstacle or is blocking your energy or sense of peace. Mars in your fourth house can see you having some troubles with anything to do with red tape connected to the fourth house of real estate and property concerns as well. So, something that we all experience, but Mars here for you squaring that fourth house to your first, you may be feeling that you need to take more control and be more of a leader when you have Mars in the fourth house squaring your first house. It's like you're being leaned on very heavily. On the 3rd of September, Mars is squaring your ruling planet Neptune retrograde in your first house. So what you have here is a face-off with you being very aware. You're seeing the forest for the trees in regards to what you know is working and what isn't in regards to your home and family dynamics. Very interesting day on the 3rd of September. On the 4th of September, after Mars has kicked up all that dust and really shaken things up in your fourth house, now ingresses into Cancer, your fifth house, in full position until November 3rd. So Mars now in your house of joy and pleasure, in Cancer, in its full position. Mars doesn't do very well in the sign of Cancer. Well, why is that? Well, Cancer is a water cardinal sign. It's a yin sign, and Mars is very much connected to the element of fire and action. And when Mars is dealing with Cancer characteristics, Mars is aware of emotion and considering others, and also being very aware of Cancer characteristics of wanting to feel safe, secure, and protected. So when you have Mars in full transiting in your fifth house of joy and pleasure connected to children, romance, romantic partnerships, investments, anything to do with sports, athletics, getting back to the gym, creative projects, this is where you may be having an awareness that a partner or your children are very emotionally ingrained in their pleasure pursuits. It's like you get to take a step back and watch them have fun, or them take the seat or take center stage now. So even having that awareness of Mars being in full, you just may be experiencing a little bit of a break and watching other people have fun and take action on what they consider pleasurable and enjoyable. On the 30th of September, Mars is trining retrograde Saturn in your first house. So a trine aspect is easy. So what's easy is you acknowledging some wins that your children or a partner or romantic partner is happening. You acknowledging that, all is not that bad on the 30th of September. Venus, the planet of love, unity, connection, and relationships. Well, opening up the month of September, she's continuing her transit in the sign of Libra, her domicile sign, and this is your 8th house of finance and shared resources. On the 5th, Venus conjuncts the moon. This is a wonderful date to mark in your calendar. Venus and the moon coming together in Libra, your 8th house of finance and partnered finances. You could literally be feeling extra on this day, connected to indulging in large purchases, taking on contracts. A partner could be splurging on you, or a partner could be landing a fantastic contract. This is a great day for enjoying harmony with money. Mark it in your calendar. Great day. On the 15th of September, Venus trines your ruling planet Jupiter in Gemini in detriment, your fourth house. So that Venus from the 8th house of finance and your partner's finances, if you have intimate or professional ones, trining your fourth house of home and family, real estate and property, looks auspicious for things now settling down, connected to contracts, anything financial that you're connected with in the home, or a financial contract for home or real estate. You could possibly see some big finances coming from inheritance or family members or assets that help your family dynamic or help you look at potential future purchases of homes, for example. It's a great day on the 15th of September. Even though your ruling planet is in detriment, because Jupiter is your ruling planet and Jupiter is the greater benefic and Venus is the lesser benefic through the ancient astrological teachings, it looks easier for things to just go smoother and be abundant. On the 22nd of September, Venus squares retrograde Pluto in Capricorn, your 11th house. Difficult, tricky, nothing you can't handle, but an irritating day on the 22nd between you and a group or someone who is an ally. Seems to be a problem or something needs to be ironed out with a friend connected to finances or a contract, or a group or an ally connected to finance and a contract. Looks like there's just a difference of opinion, if you will, on the 22nd of September that needs to be sorted out. The same day, the 22nd of September, Venus is ingressing into Scorpio, her detriment sign, till October 17, and this is your 9th house. It trines your first house, so this is easier for you to deal with. So what's easier to deal with? Well, Venus is going in her detriment sign of Scorpio. And Venus in Scorpio is highly charged and passionate about feelings, emotions, holds on to grudges, holds on to what she passionately wants. So this is where you could be experiencing a little bit more harmony in establishing your passion pursuits connected to higher education, travel, international and foreign connections, different cultures, spiritual pursuits, going on pilgrimages, anything to do with law. If there's anything with law aspects connected to you, you could be passionately engaged in getting on top or getting your money's worth connected to anything to do with lawsuits or feeling like there's no justice or balance. This is the transit where you go, no, I'm going to deal with this once and for all. Anything to do with things that expand your horizons, the 9th house. So Venus and Scorpio for you in your 9th house, you can be passionately ready to open up and really commit to something you love in regards to education and connecting with the world as a whole. Planet Mercury, the planet connected to movement, travel, commerce, money, markets, intellect. It's the cerebral planet. Opening up the month of September, continues its transit in the sign of Leo, and this is your 6th house. It's in aversion to your 1st house. So what you may be experiencing with Mercury in your 6th house in aversion to your 1st is feeling settled in your day-to-day environment, what you do on the day-to-day. It's like, there's so much going on, there's so much information, there's so much to do in one day. I feel exhausted, I don't have enough energy for it all, or it just feels like I'm putting all my work into services to other people. This is something that you may be experiencing when Mercury is transiting in Leo, your sixth house of other people, services, the day-to-day in aversion to your first house. Well, on the 9th of September, you'll be happy to know that Mercury is going to be ingressing into Virgo, your seventh house of partnership, pleasure, relationships, agreements, contracts, and negotiations. And Mercury is in exaltation and domicile in the sign of Virgo. So Mercury really enjoys being here in that analytical, nitpicky, judgmental, very detail-oriented sign of Virgo. On the 18th, Mercury opposes retrograde Saturn in your first house. So what we have here with Mercury now in your seventh, opposing retrograde Saturn is possibly a contract or a partnership, be it intimate or professional, is coming back around for review, or you're establishing more certainty. And it may have been slow going and getting information, data, analytics, but it seems like it lands on the 18th of September. But because because Mercury is opposing retrograde Saturn, it's as if Mercury is not real certain about what is being disclosed or revealed. And because it's a retrograde in your first house, this could be you not real certain about information, data, or what you're reading. So it could be a particularly difficult day on the 18th of September. On the 25th, Mercury opposes a retrograde Neptune in your first house, your ruling planet. So Mercury in the seventh, opposing your first, your ruling planet, retrograde Neptune, is asking you to have clarity and certainty about your future and what you're saying and what you're committing to. As simple as that. On the 26th of September, Mercury then changes signs and ingresses into the sign of Libra, your eighth house of resources shared with other people or your own, and all about finances, the eighth house until October 13th. Now, the eighth house, again, is an aversion to your first house. So what may be difficult for you is getting details about anything to do with contracts, legalities, anything to do with negotiations, verbal agreements or written agreements. Mercury here in your eighth in aversion to your first can be tricky for you to deal with. So a lot of data and dialogue and activity going on in the eighth house in the sign of Libra is very much about finding balance, and it might be difficult for you to feel certain about anchoring and committing, or even certain about conversations connected to finances and resources, or any partners as well. I'm Cosmic Girl 101. Thanks for watching the video. Please share any comments in the comments section below. That's a very long, detailed video, I understand. But there's a lot going on in the month of September 2024. I trust you got some value or can take notes on some key dates that are going to be significant for you. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will catch you next month.